Good morning, everybody. My name is Dan Hartwig with Fossil Creek Nursery. Today, the latest in our series of live stream plant talks is going to be about newcomer hacks. I am our Colorado certified nursery professional here. I hold a Associates of Applied Science in Horticulture and Landscape Technology from Front Range Community College. This is my 6th season at Fossil Creek. First of all, I'll tell you right away, I don't like the word hacks. Hacks are little tips, they are folklore, they are a lot of the times bad advice. Everything I'm going to be talking today is based on peer-reviewed science that has had trials done using control and experimental groups. This is proven stuff I'm going to be telling you. Okay, first of all, if no one else has bothered to tell you that, if you're a newcomer, welcome to Colorado. It means a lot to us, and a lot to us here at Fossil Creek Nursery that you have moved to the Centennial State, that big square right in the middle of the country. It's an awesome place to live. Welcome. All right. Also, welcome to the challenges of gardening and landscaping in northern Colorado. You have moved to the great state. We have 3/4 of the land in the United States that's over 10,000 feet. We have 1 mile less atmosphere diffusing our sunlight. We have high intensity sun, low humidity. We have rotten soil. Oh my goodness, what am I going to do, Dan? Here's what we're going to do. We're going to use good peer-reviewed science. We're going to use time-tested strategies to cope with that. So, the newcomer's dilemma. Okay. I'm going to tell you something that's going to be tough, but it's going to be all right. You are going to kill a lot of plants. No other way of saying it. But here's the bright side. Remember, a horticulturalist, the resume of a horticulturalist, all it is a list of plants that he or she has killed. When something thrives, you don't know what went right. You learn from what things went wrong. That is the newcomer and the horticulturalist dilemma. You may be from a place where you could stick anything in the ground and it would grow. Well, no longer the place. You are going to have to put a decent amount of maintenance, a decent amount of preparation into your landscape and garden. Winter is not the only difficult factor we're dealing with here in northern Colorado and the northern Front Range. We have low humidity, we have drying winds, and most important, we have cruddy soil. Just remember, all soil is ground up mountains. Here's the thing, we got new mountains, which means we have new soil. It is clay, it is dense, it has poor aeration, it has very little organic material in it. You go to the mountains of the east, the Appalachians, those were once the size of the Himalayas. They have had millions and millions of years to grind down, accumulate organic material, and that is awesome, rich, black soil that could even be considered to be loam. What is loam? All that is the grower's dream. It is the ideal combination of the 4 parts of our soil, of sand, silt, clay, and organic material. So what's the problem with heavy clay? Well, hard to dig in, but that is the least of our problems with heavy clay. The biggest problem with heavy clay is its poor aeration, meaning there's no airspace in there. All plants can only get water and nutrients from the soil from the tiny little hair-like structures on their feeder roots. If those are submerged in water, they cannot grow. If they are dry, they cannot grow. If they are encased in soggy clay, they cannot grow. They need pore space. All right. I'm going to start by killing a hack I hear again and again. Dan, should I put some sand in my soil? Absolutely not. Fun fact, I am from the great state of New Mexico, that mostly square state just south of Colorado. If you mix sand, clay, organic material, that's actually the recipe for adobe, which is an awesome material to build a home with in my home state. It's really poor for growing plants here. Okay, what can I do then to my soil? Well, we're going to add organic material. It's the only thing we can do. And we're not going to amend planting holes. We're going to amend whole beds when we can. We'll talk about this a little bit later. Why are we going to do this? Well, we amend a whole bed, we till it in, we spade in organic material. We have created airspace, aeration for roots to go everywhere. Here is the problem with amending only our planting holes. It's what we call the bathtub effect. It is unseasonably cold out right now for late March, early May. Just imagine yourself. You are in the bathtub, outside, today, 33 degrees. Do you want to get out of the bathtub? I don't want to get out of the bathtub. Your plant doesn't want to get out of the bathtub. If you create a over-amended planting hole, that is the only place that the roots of that will be. In about 3 to 5 years, it's either going to run out of nutrients or tip over and die. Here is the big one. Also, alkalinity. We have dense alkaline soil. Almost every plant we sell here at Fossil Creek Nursery, just because of the physiology of plants, I'm not making these choices, is because they want well-drained, loamy, acidic soil. We have almost none of those things. Okay, next newcomer tip, learn to forget. Again, welcome to Colorado. Wherever you were gardening and growing before, you have got to let those plants go. If they are the plants of your childhood, the plants that your grandparents planted, have happy memories of those, but it's really unlikely you're going to get them to grow well in Colorado. Forget the rhododendrons. Forget the arborvitae. Forget the boxwood. Dan, you're being cruel. No, I'm not, because there's awesome substitutes. English ivy, kinnikinick, Oregon grape holly, winter creeper. There are really excellent plants that do well here with only a base level of maintenance. All right, what's the next newcomer challenge, especially with our soil, is salt. Because of the poor drainage of our soil, what we put in our soil, it stays in our soil almost indefinitely. So what we don't want to put in our soil is compost that is made of animal manure. Read the ingredients. If you're going to buy compost, either make it yourself or buy an all-vegetable compost such as acidified cotton burr compost. When we start putting salts in our soil, it stays in there almost indefinitely. I have seen plantings when I'm troubleshooting this for customers where there's actually a precipitate of salt on the top of that soil. Next thing, iron. My tree has iron chlorosis. I hear that over and over again. I need to put iron in my soil. Well, that may or may not be the answer. As a rule, there's a lot of iron in our soil. Colorado is, from the Spanish, color red. Why do we live in a colored red state? Because there's lots of iron in the soil. So why is my autumn blaze maple suffering? It's because there's plenty of iron in that soil, but it's chemically unavailable to that tree because it cannot be taken up with that high a pH, with that alkaline soil. I'm sorry that I do not understand the physiology of that well enough to explain it. I can't imagine you'd want to hear it from me anyways. Other problems we have, untimely snow. Very little we can do about that. Move plants inside, and most important, make good plant choices. If you come into my store, you're going to see peaches inside. Why are there peaches inside, Dan? Well, the reason we have peaches inside is because they just rolled in on a truck from a warmer clime, and they are in full bud and bloom. We put them out there with an untimely snow or deep freeze. It's gonna fry them. Okay, what's the bright side though? The bright side is you can grow awesome stuff in Colorado. We have in Fort Collins, Colorado, 148 days frost-free. That sounds like very little, but here's the thing is, cold-tolerant plants, you can plant them as soon as you dig a hole. The only thing that you need to be waiting until May 15th, that's our 90% last frost-free safe date. I'm going to say that again, that's super important. It's not Mother's Day. Mother's Day is different every year. I don't know how they come up with Mother's Day on the calendar. All I do is get a reminder from one of my coworkers to call my mom because she misses me. Ignore Mother's Day. Mother's Day is not the first day you can be visiting your local nursery. But remember, May 15th is our 90% frost-free date. You put out your tomatoes May 15th, your annuals May 15th, 90% they will not have a hard freeze. Here's another bright side of living in Colorado. bright sun, low humidity, we have significantly fewer insect and disease pressures on our plants than places like the Midwest, the Mid-South, California, the Deep South, New England. We have a surprisingly small number of insect and disease problems. That's the bright side. Okay, the name of this class is in fact called Newcomer Hacks. I don't like the word hacks, but I'm going to share with you top 10 newcomer tips. Tip number 1. I apologize for the folks on Instagram. This is backwards. I can see it in the monitor. Don't guess. Test. What are we talking about? We're talking about our soil. We have a plant problem. My plant is chlorotic. It's not doing well. You come in and talk to your certified nursery professional. To be honest, all I can do is give you a best guess. Without a soil test, I'm probably not going to be able to recommend the correct product. Where do I get a soil test? Well, the cool thing is we're going to be doing that in a future video. You're going to get to see me doing that to my own vegetable garden. Colorado State Extension. Just Google CSU Extension soil tests. They will give you all of the instructions. They're going to tell you how to collect a sample. You're going to mail it to them in your own container. They're going to email you an invoice and tell you what tests they want done. In a few weeks, you will get the basic panel analysis back. Bring me those results. I can get you the right amendments for your soil. Otherwise, without a test, I'm just guessing. Don't guess, test. Tip number 2, plant it high. It won't die. Plant it low. It won't grow. Corny rhyme, but it is the truth. The best roots, when you buy a containerized piece of nursery stock, are in the bottom of that bucket or the bottom of that root ball. Why would I want to put them so deep that no water and nutrients are going to get to it, or so deep that they're going to be continuously soggy? The only thing you need to plant deep is a tomato. I'm convinced that the planted deep myth has gotten out there because, hey, the first thing I ever planted was a tomato. I think that's the first thing a lot of people start with. If you're planting a tomato, bury the heck out of it. If you're planting something like a maple tree, plant it high, it won't die. Vegetables, raise it up. Truck in the soil. Come see me. I'll give you a good recommendation for a supplier of landscape soil, of garden soil. This is my design for raised bed. Put these in the absolute worst part of your yard. That part that just gets blasted by sun where nothing will grow. Why do I have 4 feet by 8 feet? That way you can buy dimensional lumber and build this thing with only one cut. Do your gardening, your vegetable gardening above ground. Your soil is going to heat up 2 or 3 weeks earlier than if you had it in the ground. Good news now, you can buy cedar, you can buy redwood, but there has not been arsenic in pressure-treated lumber since 2003. If you buy pressure-treated lumber, which is significantly less expensive, all I'm going to ask you to do is get your staple gun and put some plastic coating on the inside of it. All right, step number 4. Here's how to do online research. .edu. Add this to every search you make for anything you want to know about gardening, landscaping, or plants. That way, you're going to get an academic site. Hopefully, you're going to get Colorado State Extension. Every land-grant university in the country has an agriculture and a horticulture extension. Type in .edu at the end of your search. You're going to get peer-reviewed science. If you fail to do that, you're going to get a nursery. To be honest, they're only going to tell you the awesome things about those plants. They are not going to tell you the problematic things about that. Learn to research using academic sites. Tip number 5, winter water. Okay, that sounds really counterintuitive. We get a lot of snow. With the powdery, wet snow we get, it takes 10 inches of snow here for 1 inch of rain. Remember, the challenging thing about our winters isn't how cold they are, it's how dry they are. Not only are they dry, but we have 70-degree days in the wintertime. My soil is going to heat up, thaw, freeze, thaw, freeze. That is tough on the roots of plants. What plants want is to get frozen and stay frozen. So on winter days that feel like today, above freezing, no snow on the ground, get your hose out, give everything in your landscape a good drink. That's going to keep those roots moist. It's going to keep the temperatures in your soil from fluctuating so much. Okay, tip number 6. Come see me once a month. Why would I do such a thing? I need to visit you on Mother's Day and buy everything. Well, here's the reason you want to do that. Nurseries know that what is in flower sells. So guess what we do? We take everything that's in flower and put it front and center in our displays. If you buy all of your landscape plants, all of your bedding plants, all of your flowering shrubs, flowering trees on Mother's Day, your garden is going to be full of color on Mother's Day, and you're going to see foliage for the rest of the year. Come see us once a month. Buy what's in bloom. That way your garden is going to have consistent blooms and consistent attraction for beneficial insects like pollinators. Number 7. Look for abiotic problems first. What's an abiotic problem? It is a problem with your plant that has nothing to do with insects or diseases. It has to do with soil chemistry, with water, with nutrient deficiencies. About 90% of the plant problems in Colorado are abiotic. They are not caused by insects and diseases. They're caused by other factors. However, the diagnosis of about 90% of plant problems in Colorado are blamed on insects and disease. Your plant probably has insects and diseases because of its abiotic problem. If you have poor nutrition, poor health, you are going to get sick. If plants have poor nutrition, poor health, they are going to attract insects and diseases. Number 8, newcomer tip. Look for cultural fixes before chemical fixes. Again, get your soil tested. Otherwise, we're just guessing on what chemicals, what to sell you. Most problems are cultural. What do I mean by cultural? We mean, let's take turfgrass care. Most turfgrass care problems can be solved by things like core aeration, adding organic material, sharp lawnmower blade, raising that lawnmower blade, keeping our grass clippings on the lawn. The reason people get things like snow mold and necrotic ring spot, fungal infections, the solution is not going to be chemical. I can sell you a fungicide, but the thing is, fungicide is preventable. Once you see the flowering bodies of that fungus, the actual part you see on your lawn, it's too late to do anything. All I can do is I could sell you something for next season to use preventatively, but cultural practices are going to be the main part of your plant health care here in Colorado. Keep on checking out our videos. We're going to talk about pruning, lawn care, plant spacing, all sorts of things to avoid those plant health problems. Newcomer tip number 9, plant selection. Select plants for the soil and for the climate. You can't select your climate and soil for the plants you want. There are plants that grow great in Colorado. If you want to have a happy, healthy landscape, look for plants that are well adapted to our soil, to our weather, to our biosphere in general. It is significantly easier to choose good plants with the help of your certified nursery professionals than to try to grow what you grew back home by amending the soil, trying to protect them from the weather. I would argue it is a landscape with healthy, common trees and shrubs and perennials is going to be a lot more appealing than one with sickly, exotic trees, shrubs, perennials, annuals that just don't belong here. All right, number 10. I'm going to get mildly philosophical here. What is gardening and landscaping? Gardening and landscaping on a pie chart. Gardening and landscaping is not decoration and food production. That is a small part of it. It's about 1/3 of what gardening and landscaping is. Gardening and landscaping is about 1/3 decoration and food production, 1/3 science experiment, and 1/3 mental health care. What we do here, your garden, your landscape, it's supposed to be fun. I am convinced you have a certain amount of gardening and landscaping mow every season. You build it up over the winter when we're just sitting around waiting for it to be spring again. Don't spend it all before Mother's Day. Use it a little bit at a time. Don't burn yourself out. Enjoy this process. If you are unhappy, plants are going to know it. Make this process fun. Hey, we at Fossil Creek Nursery, we would love to help you out with this process. We're going to do everything we can to make this satisfying, fun, enjoyable for all of you. Hey, again, I'm going to see if I can answer any questions. And all right. Hey, thanks so much for joining us today. And subscribe to our newsletter. Click the like if you see this on YouTube, and subscribe to our channel. And also, we're going to put a link in the description on YouTube for CSU Extension's soil testing. Hey, thanks again. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.